Hey guys, Super Rugby Pacific round 10 is done and dusted. The fantasy points are pretty much locked in. In this video, we'll take a look at the top scoring players for the round in all positions across all teams, see what we can learn. We'll also take a look at some of the popular picks that didn't perform as well. We'll compare how my picks from the best picks video went. After that, we'll also take a look at the league leaderboard, see what your guys' picks were this week and how you guys went. Before that though, a quick recap of round 10's fixtures. And first up, we had the Crusaders over the Blues 25-22. Very close game, pretty much what I expected. I expected this to be a arms wrestle in the forwards, and it absolutely was. The weather came in as well and really just compounded that aspect, and it was not a game for the backs at all. And yeah, I did identify this in the best picks video. I pretty much faded all the players in this game except Rickatelli. It's okay to pick the forwards in those wet games because obviously they get a lot of ball. The teams naturally play a bit tighter, but yeah, you got to stay away from the backs in those wet games. After that, on the Saturday, the Drua taking down the Waratahs in Lautoka 28-14. I expected this game to be a kind of open game full of running. I wasn't sure which way the result would go. I thought the Waratahs would do a lot better than they did, even if they weren't going to win, but actually the Drua, they powered through and they crushed them. And the main factor here was the Waratahs. They left some of their big guns up front at home. No Angus Bell, no Taniela Tupou, and one of their back rowers as well, Rob Leota, I think. And you could tell they were just missing that muscle up front, and that really let the Drua have their way a lot of time. The Drua, they had a lot of ball. They coughed it up like they normally did, but the Waratahs kept giving it back to them. And yeah, you can't do that with the Drua. So they had a very good game. A lot of points by them and their players, but not for the Waratahs. Moana Pacifica versus the Brumbies. This also kind of went the way I thought it would as well. I thought the Brumbies would just really grind them up front and out-muscle them. Didn't expect it to be a complete shutout for Moana, but yeah, I really faded a lot of the players in this game as well. I had Finay and Nisi at first in the midfield. I dropped them because yeah, I just thought the backs for Moana, they weren't going to have a good time this game. And it really turned out to be that way. And the Brumbies, some of their backs did have a good time. I think Corey Toole had a pretty good game, but with the Brumbies, it's always hard to know which one of their back three is going to have the big game. It could be Toole, it could be Muirhead. Sometimes it's Wright as well. And yeah, you never know which way it's going to go. It makes it tricky to pick Brumbies players. Chiefs crushed the Highlanders. Not an unexpected result. I was worried that this game, it might rain, it would put a bit of a damper on things, but in the end I did end up picking a few Chiefs. Didn't actually get that many points out of it from the picks I made, unfortunately. We'll talk about that a bit later. Highlanders only got 10 points. Some of their players still did pretty well though, like say Radamai Tavuki Netkins, and that is something important to note going forward. And lastly, we had the 17-17 draw, Western Force in Perth with the Hurricanes. And yeah, I hope you guys watched that game. That was a crazy game, probably one of the games of the year. I did expect the Hurricanes to come out firing and crush the Force, but yeah, I was really out of line here with that view of things. The bookies did not have the game this way, the tippers did not. And a few of you pointed this out in the comments on the best picks video as well, saying that I underrate the Force, and it's definitely true. I have consistently underrated the Force at home this year. I thought the draw would go well against them. They got crushed. I thought the Highlanders would go well against them, but they lost as well. I thought the Hurricanes would crush them, but no, we had this draw. But the key thing is, there's always a lot of fantasy points on offer when teams go and play in Perth, even if they don't crush the Force, because the track there, it's always super dry. It's always great conditions for running rugby. And yeah, we still saw a lot of running rugby in this game despite the scoreline, quite low, 17-17. So yeah, you still can't go wrong making your picks in Perth, especially when there's a lot of weather floating around in the other fixtures that week. Anyway, enough about the results. Let's now have a look at the players. And yeah, coming in at number 1 for the week overall. In general, not a high scoring round, but yeah, 71 points for Callum Harkin. He's in the fly half slot, but he was starting at 15. That is why I pointed him out in the best picks video as a guy to seriously consider over D-Mac. You always got to have big balls to not pick D-Mac. I went ahead and made this pick, Callum Harkin. Not a lot of people did, but it paid off. 71 points. He had a pretty good game. 1 try in there. It was almost 2. I don't know if you guys saw the game, but he almost got a second try. He just had to run over the line for some reason. I don't know if someone was calling for it, but he flung it back infield, and the pass, it did not go to hand. So yeah, a little bit robbed there. This really could have been a lot better for us. At the end of the day, D-Mac got like 5 points less, so not a huge win here, but yeah, still pretty happy calling out this pick. I hope you guys went for it and it paid off for you. Next cab off the rank with 68 points was Fineanganofo. Again, this was another guy that I called out in the best picks video. Ended up getting 2 tries. And yeah, you really can't go wrong picking 11s in a dry game, in an open running matchup. And that's pretty much what happened here. We went for that 11 pick and it paid off. And Fineanganofo, he's good, man. Like, people, you know, he's not in the All Blacks frame or anything, but like, you know, he's not just a fast guy. He can get the ball. When there's a little bit of work to do, he can beat those players. He can pull off good finishes. He showed that this game. Only 1% of people picked him, but no, second best player for the whole round. So we're 2 from 2 so far. D-Mac backing up at 64 points, and yeah, I did expect D-Mac to go pretty well, just because I expected the Chiefs to do pretty well against the Highlanders, and they did. The only thing that was really going to stop that was if the rain came in, and you know, even though it didn't rain, conditions weren't great, so yeah, he still did do pretty well there. Took a while for the Chiefs to crack the Highlanders open though. It didn't really happen until that second half, and then they really ran away with the scoreline there, and D-Mac really benefited from that. 4th rank, Corey Toole, 61 points. Ended up getting 2 tries. This Brumbies win over Pacifica, there's basically 2 more tries and 2 Corey Toole tries. One of them kind of freakish, but yeah, Corey Toole, he is my favorite of the back 3 at the Brumbies just because he is so fast. These fast guys, they can just get tries out of nothing because they can get to the ball first. Really paid off for Corey Toole this week, but like I was saying earlier with the Brumbies, you never know if it's going to be Toole's week, you never know if it's going to be Muirhead's week, and yeah, this week it was Toole's week, but how do you know? I don't know. If you've got a better idea than me, you can tell me. 5th place, I love this pick. This is another one I called out in my best picks video. Tony Awanga, 60 points in the lock slot, didn't even score a try. But if you watch my best picks video, the reason I called him out was that game he had against the Crusaders. He came off the bench. He was just there for like 15 minutes, but he was carving it up. This guy is like a back. He's like a fullback in the back row. He just runs into the defense and glides through it. He gets away from people. He's got good pace, and you can see here, he's got all these line breaks points, defenders beaten, he beats tacklers. Like, yeah, I love this guy. When I saw him starting this week, I was so excited to pick him. It really paid off in a big way. And we have more Drua players here backing up as well. Lagona Masi, another pick I committed to this week. 59 points, 1 try. He was having a massive game. Honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed. I feel a bit robbed because they subbed Lagona Masi at like 60 minutes or something, 55 minutes, which is crazy. He was having such a great game, and I did not expect this to happen. Ravu Taumanda, he was on the bench. The initial team naming had, I think, Taborvo, so he would have come on to replace the midfielder, but then Masi got removed late. Taborvo started. Ravu Taumanda got put on the bench. And still, Ravutamanda all year, he's played pretty much at 14 or at fullback. I thought he would come on and probably replace Rukuro, but no, they subbed off Lukona Masi. And yeah, that was a real shame. He definitely could have got more points for us in that game. After him, no, Motakiai Murray, I'm not sure how you say that first name. Yeah, he was quite impressive. He got one try, but he was just really good at picking up the ball at the back of the ruck and just sort of gunning it, found a lot of space, made a couple of breaks. So yeah, he's sort of one to keep on the radar if it's a sort of matchup where it's going to be open and running. And now we sort of get into the weeds a bit here. Narawa had a pretty good game as well. 53 points, one try. Christian Leo Willie, I think, yeah, he's the second top loose forward. He had probably his best game of the year. And yeah, looking well, apart from the game against the Reds, I guess. Yeah, he got pretty good score for his efforts as well. The try helping him out a lot, but look, there was just a lot going on up front in that Blues versus Crusaders game. The Blues, they were just trying to bash down the front door. They did not give up. And those Crusaders forwards, they just manned up. They defended like crazy for long periods. After that, Billy Pollard, he got the 2 more tries, but yeah, only 52 points to show for it, which, you know, it's not a whole lot. It means he only got 22 points outside of his tries, and you know, this is a hooker who gets 3 points from lineouts. So this has always been the problem. Like the Brumbies, they have such a strong maul, they always go to it, but you know, normally teams with a strong maul that get a lot of tries off the back of that, you want to pick their hookers. But this Billy Pollard guy, oh yeah, like he's really struggled to post massive scores apart from last week. And yeah, it just makes it kind of dicey to pick him, because if he doesn't get 2 tries, then he ends up doing worse than hookers that don't even get any tries. So yeah, bit of a weird situation there in that slot for the Brumbies. Boshier did pretty well this week. He also got 2 tries coming off the bench. Like I said, the Chiefs, they cracked the Highlanders late. He really benefited, but I mean, I don't think that puts Boshier on the radar at all. And yeah, from here on down, we kind of get into the weeds a bit. That is all the top players covered. We'll have a quick look at the most selected players though, just to see who the busts were. And yeah, a lot of people still picking Will Jordan and Sevu Reece. And I was talking about this earlier. You can't pick outside backs in games where it's going to be wet and games where the forwards are sort of going to dominate. And you definitely can't do it when both those things are true. And look, Will Jordan got 27 points, but that was with a try. Like, yeah, everyone who picked Will Jordan, you're so lucky that he got that try, because tries were not on the cards for the backs in that game at all. There was never going to be points from big line breaks and all that sort of thing. And yeah, if you look at Sevu Reece, still 50% of people picking him. He's all the way down here on 7 points. He was on the left wing. He just did not get any ball. It was not a game for wings. So yeah, you got to remember that, guys, going forward. Like, if it's wet, just stay away from those outside backs. They're gonna have a tough time. A lot of the other picks here though, they all did pretty well. There's no standout busts. A lot of people still had Adi Sevilla, maybe people who just didn't update their teams this week. He did not play this week. Another one who needs a bit of a shout out as well is Joseph Suali'i. 30% of people picking him. I was pretty big on him this week as well, just because, yeah, I thought the Waratahs they'd put up more of a fight in that Endure game. I thought they would go well, but yeah, it was just not the case. They absolutely struggled, and we've seen Suali'i do pretty well in losing efforts before, but no, it just didn't happen for him this game at all. And to rub salt into the wound, he got a yellow card in overtime, you know, from that weird situation. So yeah, that just really stung. It especially stung for me because I did make him my captain this week. So yeah, ouch. And just quickly flicking through each position here, starting with the back 3. We already remarked on a lot of them. Special shout out for AJ Lamb, like he does pretty well. Too bad he's not listed in the midfield where he would be a great pick. Radu Maitavuki-Neepkins as well, getting 45 points without any tries in a losing effort where your team only scores 10 points. That's pretty damn impressive. And yeah, he's a guy who definitely stays on the radar going forward. And looking at the midfield, a couple of interesting things here. It's topped by Bailey Kunzel and Hamish Stewart. I did shout out Bailey Kunzel in my best picks video simply because he was in fact starting on the wing. And yeah, got a try, really paid off for him. Ended up being the top midfielder. Probably a guy that stays on the radar as well. Hamish Stewart, not normally a guy I would be looking at, but yeah, just, you know, the line break assists, made a lot of tackles. Pretty impressive effort from him. Doesn't really put him on the radar for me. Quinn Tupaia, I ended up going for Quinn Tupaia in the end. I dropped Finney and Nisi. I'm glad I did. He only got 7 points in that shutout against the Brumbies. I picked up Tupaia, only 28 points. Bit of a shame there, but yeah, as it turns out, he was third ranked midfield pick, so can't be too upset about that. Higgins and Proctor doing pretty well considering they both came off the bench only in that second half. They're guys that will stay on the radar because they're both very good players, but Hurricanes, they have so many options in the midfield now. I feel like these, you know, they're always going to have midfielders on the bench, so it's just going to be hard to pick them because they're always going to be getting subbed. So yeah, something to think about going forward. Pretty low scores from here on out. Fly half, we already talked about it. Harkin took out the top spot. McKenzie took out second spot. And then there's quite a bit of daylight until we get down to third spot. And Robitu's actually third. He was another guy I did shout out in my best picks as well. Just because he was in fact playing at fullback this game, much like Callum Harkin was. 31 points, not a massive haul, but yeah, something interesting to note. Halfbacks, not a lot going on here. Roygaard did pretty well. Nick White surprisingly got a good score this week. Like, yeah, you can see all year he struggled to break into double digits every single game. Finally had a good game. Doesn't really change his prospects much for me going forward. Bakatava, pretty good in a losing effort. He stays on my radar as well. And Hotham was always going to be tough for him. Again, in that forwards grind in the wet. Loose forwards, we already talked about Murray. He was the top scoring back rower this week. Followed by Leo Willie. Followed by Boshia. Leo Willie, he's always been good. You know, he's kind of bubbling just underneath where he's like sort of, you know, on the cusp of being on the equation. Boshia coming off the bench, getting those 2 tries. Doesn't really change much for his stocks for me going forward. Tizano, just another excellent game from him. He is so good, a consistent performer. Gets those tries, pretty much a lock in the back row. And Satutu doing pretty well actually. 46 points, got that 1 try. Got that ridiculous try assist, which I'm sure you've probably all seen by now. Just the most insanely reckless thing I have ever seen in the context of that game. And looking at the locks, yeah, the big story here really is just Wanga. We already talked about him. I'm looking forward to still picking him going forward. Not a lot going on elsewhere though. The 2 force locks, second and third, they've been super consistent performers all year. Can't go wrong picking them, but yeah, not much to remark about otherwise. In the hooker stakes, Billy Polo came in first because he got those 2 tries. He was followed by McAllister, who also got at least 1 try. No, that's right. There was a more try, but it wasn't McAllister that scored it. So pretty good score for him then, considering. Not a lot going for Taylor. Unfortunately for him, he did actually bungle a few lineouts this game. Yeah, 3 lineout errors, so a bit uncharacteristic from the Crusaders lineout, which has been super solid. I had Riccatelli, not an amazing score, but you know, can't really complain. Only 1 lineout error. And yeah, Taukei'aho, I really like Taukei'aho, but he's just hasn't been that great this year. Hasn't had a lot of game time though. And not a lot to remark on elsewhere, except Almoa. Again, he continues his pretty poor streak. Like, he hasn't had a great year in my opinion. And with the props, the two Crusaders props topping the list, probably off the back of their successful scrum. Mighty Williams did actually get a try though, so that's what propelled him to the top. Fichenil didn't, but yeah, got credited with all these scrums won. And yeah, really not a lot going on otherwise. Guys in the low 20s, but yeah, you just can't complain about props. Anyway, let's have a look at the leaderboards for our league, see what your guys' teams were. And here we are in the Big Boys League. Number one this week was Keith. Well done to Keith, 574 points. Was a really tough scoring week in general. There wasn't a lot of points in general. So yeah, 574, very, very good. Looking at his picks, he got the Wanga pick. I love it. I love that you guys went for that. Went for the Mackenzie captain, and yeah, that really was the play. I went for Suali'i. That is what sunk me this week. Lukanamasi, Leroy Carter. I went for the Carter pick as well. I dropped Punawai for Carter. And yeah, Carter also got subbed really early, which kind of made me feel a bit robbed because Anton Leonard-Brown was on the bench. I thought for sure he would come on and replace Daniel Rona. Instead, they took off Carter, moved Rona out to the wing. Rona's not really that great out there. And Carter, I thought he was pretty good that game. So yeah, a little bit robbed there. He could have got more points because he went off basically right before the Chiefs cracked the Highlanders and just started running rampant. Otherwise, though, yeah, Taumai Falau, who was unfortunately a bit of a bust that game. I thought Taumai Falau might be a decent option because he was finally back on the left wing, but yeah, it was a shutout from the Brumbies, so he just got no play. Also love to see the Bailey Konzel pick as well. Well done there. Next cab off the rank was actually me this week. So yeah, here is my team if you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, just captaining Suali'i, that really sunk me. I don't think that was a bad pick for captain, to be honest. The other guys I would have considered were Finianga Nofo and Cam Roigard. Either of them would have put me in a lot better stead, but yeah, not a lot of picks paying off elsewhere. My back row is sort of not doing that great. Props and locks not doing that great outside of Wanga, but yeah, it really is all about this captain pick. Just yeah, that was a real backfire there, unfortunately. Leka Luka in third place, 561 points, not that far behind. And lots of cool picks here. Went for the Brody McAllister pick. DMAC captain, went for the Finay Anisi pick, only got 17 points. And yeah, that was a really shame. I do really like Finay Anisi. I did have him picked initially. Instead, I swapped him out for Tupaia when I saw that it wasn't going to be super wet in Hamilton. Because yeah, I was worried that Moana weren't going to get a lot of play against the Brumbies, and it turned out that to be the case. Went for Tom Wright and Andy Muirhead in the back three. And this is what I was talking about before with the Brumbies. You never know which one in the back three is going to get all the points in any given week. Like, they really do share it around. They're all pretty good, but yeah, zigged when you should have zagged this week. It was Corey Toole who got all the points. So yeah, a little bit unlucky there because those were good picks otherwise. Valentini not really firing in that game despite how much ball the Brumbies commanded. Wasn't actually an amazing performance by them, even though they did shut out the Moana and won by 20 points. Like, it really was that maul that pulled it through for them. Auli's fourth place, 553 points, and some interesting picks here, going for Dalton Papali'i. Oh, Captain Finianga Nofo. That was a great play. Really got rewarded for that. Went for the Nareki pick as well. I do love Jonah Nareki, but yeah, I just felt like, you know, the Chiefs were going to run all over the Highlanders. It took the Chiefs a while to crack the Highlanders, but yeah, it did happen in the end. Like, it's hard to hang with the Chiefs in Hamilton, especially once they get to that second half. They really can just run away from you. And we'll look at one more. Murray in fifth place, 550 points, and a lot of Crusaders picks here. David Havili and Will Jordan. I talked about this a lot before. Really don't like picking backs in those wet games. Could have been worse though, to be honest. Could have had Sevu Reece, that would have sucked. went for the Radumai Tavuki Neatkins pick, and yeah, that worked out pretty well. Like, I feel like if you want a Highlander in the backs when it's a game where you're not sure if the Highlanders will run well, he probably is the better pick than Nareki, just because he does get a bit more ball being the receiver at the back, and he is actually inclined to run with the ball as well. He's not a fullback who will engage heavily in kicking duels. At least he doesn't have the same propensity to do that as a lot of other fullbacks do. So yeah, really big on this pick going forward. Had the Miracle Wailangi pick. You know, Wailangi did better than I thought, honestly. I did think the Brumbies would outmuscle Moana up front, and they kind of did. But yeah, that's still a pretty good result for him in the end. And if we just have a quick look at the all-rounds overall leaderboard, Cal 7 remains at the top, 6,100 points in total. Let's have a look at his team for this week. Didn't do so well in this round. And yeah, had the Ruben Love pick. Like, people were asking me about Ruben Love now that he was playing at 10, and I really talked it down. Like, it's just hard to do really well in that 10 slot in fantasy, because you're getting a lot of ball, but you're passing it and you're kicking it, and you don't get a lot of points for that. And even if you carry a lot as a 10, like, you have less space than anybody else in the back line, right? So yeah, they never do that well. DMAC is pretty much the only exception. And yeah, look, if the Canes went better in this matchup, if they were playing the Force at home or something, maybe he would have done better. He did carry the ball a lot, but yeah, it was just a tough game. The space wasn't there, so did not work out for him. Two other fullbacks here as well, Stevenson and Tom Wright, those picks. Yeah, there were points in these matchups for the back three, but again, just a bit unfortunate. They went to the wings, they did not go to the fullbacks. Anyway, guys, I think that will do it for this week. I really enjoyed the games this weekend, honestly. They were pretty entertaining games to watch, even the ones where they were a bit one-sided. Well, actually, that Moana Brumbies game kind of sucked, but it was still kind of interesting to see. Anyway, I'm pretty happy because I finally had a good round after having a bad run. A lot of my picks paid off, some of them didn't. But yeah, I hope things went well for you guys. Have a happy Easter, everybody. I'll see you next week in the next Best Picks video. Have a good one until then.